Within Word, you can apply better formatting to a document by adding borders and background shading. Here we're going to demonstrate this on this document. As we come down, we're going to find a paragraph or two that we want to emphasize. Now it could be this when to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is to highlight what I want to emphasize. I then want to adjust the size of the indents. Now we've done this in previous courses, and you can do this by adjusting the markers on the ruler, so I can bring the left indent in and I can bring the right indent just by grabbing those little markers. Once I'm happy with the layout on there, I might want to justify this paragraph. So again, I can click on my paragraph justify to justify the layout. Once I've got this highlighted, I'm then going to apply some borders and shading. Now Microsoft have given you some presets. If you look on your home ribbon in the paragraph section, there is this little drop down arrow called borders. And you can see you've got various borders that you can apply. Now because we want to do the borders and the background shading, I'm going to ignore all of these presets and come straight down to the last option, which says borders and shading, and that will then present the borders and shading dialog box. We have a little preview window so we can see what's going on here. Now to set up a border, we can choose one of the Microsoft presets. You can see on this tab here we've got borders, and we can set up one of these presets. Now you'll notice that when I click on these, it's showing me what it's going to look like in the preview part. And I can turn these on and off from here. Now if I want to, I can change the style of the border. At the moment it's a solid line, but you'll see that we've got choices of doing a dotted line or maybe a double border line, and if you scroll through you can have a squiggly line as a border or some shading as well. So you've got all these various options. I'm going to put it back to just a regular solid border line. I can also change the colour, so I get a choice of colour. So I might want to choose a blue. I might want to thicken up the thickness of the border line, and I can do that here as well. There on my preview you can see what's happening. I want to apply this to the paragraph. Now if I click OK, that will just give me the border around what I had highlighted, but I want to colour in the background, the shading. So I'm going to go back to that dialog box, borders and shading. And now I've finished with the borders. Look at the third tab along, you've got shading. I'm going to click on that, and at the moment there's no colour in the fill. So I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to choose a light blue so we can read the text. When I click OK, you can now see we've got this call out box. It could be an info box that makes it stand out. Now if we come down to the bottom of the document, we may want to add some borders to this paragraph here. But I don't want the border to go all the way around. So if we go back to the border and shading button, and on here I want to put borders on, but I want to choose. In other words, I don't want to put a border all the way around, so I choose none. And I can turn on and off borders via these buttons. You'll see that if I click here, it puts a border at the top of the paragraph. I can turn that off. I can also put it at the bottom, or just one to the left or to the right. So once you've got this on, I can turn on the top and bottom borders only on here. If I want to change the colour, I can do. and I can also change the thickness to make it thicker. Now you'll notice that I changed the colour and the thickness after I applied this, and you'll notice that on the preview it's not changing. If this happens, you must turn these off and on again. So if I turn it off and on, it reapplies it. If I click OK, you can now see I've got all of my information with a border at the top and bottom. One final thing with borders and shading is that sometimes you may want to put a margin inside. Maybe you think the text needs to be indented here. Well, the problem with highlighting this and doing a regular indent, it moves the line as well, which we don't want. So what we can do here is go back into that border and shading dialog box, and you'll notice we have this options button, and we can set up an internal margin from the top, the left, right and the bottom. So if we put in a top, again you'll see it in the preview. If I put a 10 gap at the top and 10 point at the bottom, and if I do a left indent of say 14 and a right 14, click OK and OK, you'll notice that we've now got those indents.